Jackson in the key. Kick out. Davenport.
A steal for Kentucky. Ahead to Reeves. Left wing three. Got it.
Jackson weaves. A dunk. Bounces off to Adu and he slams it home.
All right, welcome back to the student section. This is episode 7 or 8 for this season of basketball. This is a channel that covers strictly men's basketball, college men's basketball, and more specifically the SEC. So, with that introduction out of the way, we have today's episode, a very fun one, because we are going over player awards, not rewards, awards. Last week I went over power rankings, so if you're interested on how I feel about the current climate of the SEC, go ahead and check that video out. It has changed a little bit, but not too much, so it's still relevant. So if you want to go check that out, feel free. It was my latest upload, but today we are going over player awards. But before we get into that, we are going to do the top 5, but the only thing is I won't be narrating because I forgot to upload the videos to my computer, so I won't be able to live narrate. I know you guys are gonna miss that because I know that's everyone's favorite part of the top 5. Not the actual highlights, just me narrating. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'll be right back whenever it's done.
And Murray turns it over. Don't see that much from him. Rough into the basket. Oh, he's rejected. Benson's having a pretty good couple minutes. Here's the rejection.
I think that is one of the big reasons why we're not.
Oh, how about the catch and the hammer for the dude, Nero?
5 times. This puts him in double figures for the 7th time as the Razorback. That's like a tight end getting loose in the end zone and hammers one down and then completes the 3-point play.
The young kids pat the top.
Off the left iron. Look at Cam Matthews hit the floor. Caught out Harris, the spin and the slam. Got on the floor, kept it alive, and Claudell Harris, the spin move.
Now a turnover, Michigan in transition, and a block at the rim by Adu. Brazil at the other end.
From Tennessee, gets a great block shot, throw it ahead to Trevin Brazil.
And fake, look at the block by Cardwell. Richmond gets it back. Cardwell with 2 hands. Oh, but they called a foul.
Wow.
Oh, there.
Oh, my goodness. Just take a look at that effort. The first rejection, hustling back into the scene to pump fake and up top.
Try one from deep. Offensive rebound. Howard, get out the way.
My goodness. And look at the bench.
Tonight.
Offensive rebound and Ja'Kai Howard up top. Wow. Just sit back and enjoy.
Oh, he caught a body on
He
that
did.
one.
Yes.
All right, so we are back. There's not really much else to say. We're getting straight into the episode. I just want to mention real quick, once again, my bed is not made. I'm recording this video Thursday night, and it's almost Friday morning. Normally, I record these videos like Thursday afternoon around like 12. So I'm a little more focused, I'm a little more locked in, but today I'm kind of tired, so I might get a little slow, a little delusional. I might be stuttering, stumbling over my speech, but I'll make it through. I have all my notes right here, so hopefully I do not get lost. Hopefully I don't just start spitting out a bunch of nonsense out of my mouth. But without further ado, we're just going to get straight into the awards. We're going to start from the bottom, move our way up so we can save the more anticipated awards for last. So, starting off, as you can see at the bottom, we have NCOY, which is Newcomer of the Year, which that award entails a player that's transferred into a new program. These are the biggest impact transfers, basically. I think last year I had done this award, but I had it to where it was strictly players that transferred into the SEC. The award this year is players that just transferred to a new team in general. I just realized I hope my head isn't cut out of the frame. If it is, I'm not fixing it, so it's gonna have to be like this all episode long. But okay, so some players that I have. Each award I'm gonna try to have 3 nominees. There's gonna be a few that have more than 3 just because it was really hard to decide, and I'll try to fit in any honorable mentions I feel necessary. So Newcomer of the year is going to be Chaz Lanier, Otega Owe, and Adu Thiero. Those are my 3 nominees. So newcomer of the year, we're just going to go over all their stat lines. So for Adu Thiero, he's at 18 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 5.9 rebounds, and then 1.9 assists. Let me change that in my notes. I have 1.9 rebounds and 5.9 rebounds. It's not possible. Okay, yeah, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists per game. Amazing stats. I mean, he's close. I mean, he's pretty close up there with the player of the year, but we'll save that award for later. Shout out my Arkansas guy. Shout out, I guess Kentucky loves this guy too. So he's a very well-loved guy in the SEC. Otega Owe, speaking of Kentucky, he's at 15.6 points, 4.3 rebounds, and 1.7 assists. So he's at, we'll round up for pretty much all these stats, if applicable. So he's at 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Pretty good stats, especially coming from your big man. I've loved watching Otega Owe. He's been one of my favorite players. Even though Kentucky fans think I hate you guys. Well, it doesn't even matter. And then the final nominee is Chaz Lanier at 19.1 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, and then 1.3 assists. So now that we've gone over all of the nominees, I'm going to go ahead and give the nod to Chaz Lanier because of all these stat lines are really good. Adu Thiero, he's averaging more assists than the other guy, or more rebounds than the other guys. Otega Owe's on a new team. Okay, it doesn't matter. Chaz Lanier, the reason I pick him is because he comes in and fills this scoring void that Tennessee lost with one of the best scorers in all of college basketball, let alone the SEC with bro, I'm telling you, I swear every time I start recording, I just blank out on names. We all know who I'm talking about. Dalton Connect, that's terrible, bro. And it's late. That's going to happen a lot this episode. But yeah, I pick him just because he comes in, he fills that void that Dalton Connect had left once he left this team. I remember last year, me and my friends were talking about how it kind of felt like Dalton Connect was just scoring every bucket, every single point for Tennessee last year. And there was like everyone else was just kind of supporting with other things. But he was like the main scorer. Chaz Lanier comes in, fills that role. Like I said, 19 points per game, 2.7 rebounds. I would like to see more assists out of him with how much he has the ball, but he has Zakai Ziegler leading the SEC in assists, so you don't really need him to make too much. But just with how much the ball's in his hand, I would like to see more assists out of him. With that being said, an honorable mention I had for this award was Jason Edwards, so don't think I forgot about you guys, Vanderbilt. But that is that award. Moving on to the next award, we have Breakout Player of the Year. My 3 nominees is Adu Thiero, Colin Murray-Boyles, and Jalen Moore. So, Adu Thiero. Let's look. Okay, pull up. I got the stats. Okay, so last year he was only averaging 7 points per game. He moves up to 18 points per game. He was only at 1.1 assists. He moves up to 2.0 assists. He was only at 1.7 steals. He moves up to 2.1 steals. His blocks did drop down a little bit, but pretty much every stat goes up. His effective field goal percentage jumps up about. It goes from 0.51 to 0.63, so 51% to 63% effective field goal percentage. His 2-point percentage goes from 52% to 71%. His 3-point percentage has dipped, and then his overall field goal percentage went from 4.9 to from 49% to 61%. So he made a significant jump. And keep in mind, all these awards are just for the first month of SEC basketball, not even SEC, just in general. We haven't played conference play. This is the first month of pre-conference play. So obviously these awards are probably going to change by the end of the year. This is just, if the season ended today, these are what the awards would be. I need to clear that up as well. So people, I'm not projecting. This is if the season ended right now, today, these are the awards. So that is Adu Thiero's stat jump. Moving on, we have Jalen Moore over at Oklahoma. Shout out Jalen Moore. He went from 11 points per game to 18 points per game. His blocks went down significantly. He went from 1 block to only 0.2 blocks. His steal numbers went up from 0.6 to 0.8. His assists went from 0.5 to 0.7. His total rebounds did dip a little bit. The main jump for him is going to be that point per game. His field goal percentage, or free throw percentage, went from 73% to 84%. Effective field goal percentage only went from 57% to 58%. 2-point percentage barely jumped as well. You actually get a dip out of 3-point percentage, and then field goal percentage. So all of his percentages kind of just barely went up, but the main jump for him is going to be points per game and the role. With this team coming into the SEC, he's played such a big role. I'm going to talk a lot more about him later. So that is Jalen Moore. And then the final nominee I have for this award is Colin Murray-Boyles. I know South Carolina fans know this. For those who don't know, last year he was struggling with an illness. He lost a lot of weight, wasn't very healthy. He really only played the second half of the year. Well, I guess it says he played 28 games. That feels like a little more than I remember. I know he wasn't healthy for a lot of them. He missed like the first few. Anyways, he goes from 10 points per game to 16. Oh, what did I just press? Hold on, sorry. Okay, he went from 10 points per game to 16. His turnovers, we don't talk about turnovers. His blocks went from 1 to 1.1. Steals went from 1 to 1.3. Assists go from 1.8 to 1.9. Total rebounds, that's where one of the biggest jumps are. He goes from 5.7 last year to 9.4 this year. His field goal percentage, or his free throw percentage dipped. Effective field goal percentage jumped. It goes from 59% to 67%, so that's a pretty good jump. 2-point percentage kind of stays around the same. It goes from 61 to 68%, so it does jump. His 3-point percentage, he went from 0%. He only attempted about 0.2 per game last year from three. He's at 0.9 now, but it went from 0%, didn't make a three at all last year, to 37%. And his field goal percentage also jumped from 59% to 65%. So with all that being said, the breakout player of the year, or most improved player, more familiarly for you NBA fans, is going to be Adou Thiero. If you want to go over his stats one more time, you can. I'm just going to briefly say he went from 7 points per game to 18. Rebounds went from 5 to 5.9, but his assist numbers jumped up. Steal numbers jumped up. Went from 0.7 steals to 2.1. His blocks dropped. I already talked about his field goal percentage. That's my player for breakout player of the year. Moving on, we have sixth man of the year. So I had a few requirements for this one. Obviously, you have to start less, or one game or less. You can't start more than one game because we're only like 9 or 10 games in the season. And you have to be on one of the top teams. You can't be on a bottom feeder. So sorry, South Carolina. Sorry, Arkansas. Sorry, Alabama. As of now. Actually, no. Sorry. Not sorry, Alabama. But teams towards the bottom, Texas, Mississippi State, which these teams aren't towards the bottom. They're just not at the top. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Florida, Georgia, all those teams. Anyways. So the first nominee we have is Chaney Johnson out of Auburn. He's at 9.6 points per game, 6 flat rebounds and 1.7 assists. Aiden Holloway out of Alabama. He's at 9.7 points per game, 1.7 rebounds and 2 assists per game. And then you have Kobe Brea out of Kentucky at 12.4 points per game, 4.1 rebounds and 1.3 assists. This one was really hard. I think, immediately I dropped Aiden Holloway out. I just don't think his rebounding or assist numbers are high enough to compete with the other two. And that leaves Chaney Johnson and Kobe Brea. They're on two of the hottest teams in the SEC right now. Kobe Brea, like I said, 12.4 points per game, which is more than Chaney Johnson, but then Chaney Johnson has 6 rebounds, which is more than... I basically took into play just total impact on the team. So I ended up going with Chaney Johnson. Sorry, Kentucky fans, but at least Kobe Brea made the nominee list. But with Chaney Johnson, anytime he comes onto the floor, I've talked about him a lot. This is, in my opinion, the most underrated player in all of college basketball. He reminds me so much of Dylan Cardwell, which is on the same team. He plays that same role that Dylan played last year, now that Dylan is a starter. But every time Chaney Johnson comes on the floor, he just pause. That was crazy. Anytime he steps onto the floor, his impact is immediate. The energy he brings, he plays defense on. He can guard, I would say 2 through 5. He definitely can't really guard like a quick point guard, but he can hold his own on 2s. He can hold his own on 3s. Like I said, very mobile, very athletic. There was a play last year where he got a block and smacked his head on the backboard. Super athletic. He just does everything on the floor. Kobe Brea is a good scorer for that team, but Chaney Johnson does everything. Whatever you need from him, he will go and do it. So Chaney Johnson is my 6th man of the year. Moving on to freshman of the year. There's a few obvious ones, but I had to include a lot of people because this freshman class is loaded compared to last year. Last year's freshman class was really weak. This year's is insane. So we have Trey Johnson at 21.1 points per game, which is leading the SEC, by the way. 2.7 rebounds per game and 2.0 assists. The other candidates we have is Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma. He's at 6.7 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 4.7 assists, and 2.6 steals. Like that, crazy numbers. Boogie Flan out of Arkansas, 15.5 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, and 5.4 assists, which is second in the SEC. And then I think I forgot to mention Jeremiah Fears is like third in steals in the SEC. And then Asa Newell out of Georgia, he's at 15.9 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, and 1.2 assists. Now, this is a really hard decision for me because Trey Johnson leading the SEC in points. Jeremiah Fears leading or close to leading in steals. He's at 16 points. Boogie Flan second in assists. He's at 15.5 points. Asa Newell at 16 points, at almost 7 rebounds. This is a really, really hard decision. I'm going to just go ahead and say this right now. Trey Johnson is not winning it. I know he's leading the SEC in points, but in my opinion, these other rookies are doing more on the floor. I mean, Trey Johnson is getting 2.0 assists, but it's weird. It's like he's just strictly a shooter. I want to see him put the ball on the floor more because we saw him do it in high school. We know he can. I just want to see more out of him, more playmaking chops. So he's immediately out. This leads me to the remaining 3. It's really hard to pick. I ended up going. Oh, I really don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say Boogie Flan doesn't win it, although I wish he would. I'm an Arkansas guy, as you can tell. But he's not winning it. It's between Jeremiah Fears and Asa Newell. They both have had an amazing impact on their team. I'm going to give it to Jeremiah Fears because he's almost at 5 assists per game, 2.6 steals, almost at 4 rebounds, and he's at 16.7 points per game. You just can't top that. It's really amazing. Shout out to Asa Newell, shout out to Trey Johnson, and shout out to Boogie Flan. And there are a lot of other freshmen in this class that are amazing as well. They just didn't make the cut that these guys did. Moving on to the next award, we have Defensive Player of the Year. This is also another fun. All these awards have been really fun and really tough because this early in the year, it's kind of hard to get like a separation between guys. But Defensive Player of the Year, we have Janai Broome, Colin Murray-Boyles, Amari Williams, and Cameron Matthews. I wanted to throw Cameron Matthews in because you guys know that's my guy. I got to give love to the wings. There weren't many guards to pick from. Yeah, I mean, I know it's like Kai Ziegler, but he won it last year, and not that he didn't deserve it last year. I just don't think he should have won it last year. But yeah, Jeremiah Fears, like I said, third in the SEC. Matthew Morrell's up there. So these are just some honorable mentions. Tyler Tanner looked amazing so far. Elijah Martin. Anyways, those are just some guards I wanted to give love to, just so I'm not just throwing up a bunch of big men on the Defensive Player of the Year. Starting off with Janai Broome, he's at 11.9 rebounds, leading the league. 0.7 steals and 2.8 blocks, which I think is also leading the league. Let me double check on that. Yeah, he's leading the league in blocks as well. Colin Murray-Boyles at 9.4 rebounds, 0.7 steals, and 1.1 blocks. Amari Williams out of Kentucky, he's at 9.2 rebounds, 0.3 steals, and 1.8 blocks. And then Cameron Matthews at 6.9 rebounds, 2.7 steals, and 0.7 blocks. Now, I'm going to eliminate 2 people immediately. Amari Williams, sorry Kentucky fans. I think the other guys are better. More versatile. And then Janai Broome, I know he's leading the league in blocks and rebounds. First off, I think rebounds are important for defense, but I don't really consider them defense because you're not guarding anybody, you're rebounding. It's like the special teams of basketball. So I don't value rebounds as high as everyone else. I think rebounds are incredibly valuable to winning, but in terms of defense, I don't quite value them the same as the other stats and the eye test. I think the eye test is very important. So I knock out Amari Williams, I knock out Janai Broome. That just leaves Colin Murray-Boyles and Cameron Matthews. So I think Cameron Matthews is a very versatile defender. He can guard a lot of different people, 1 through 4. I don't really see him guarding bigs too much. Super strong, super good instincts at like just staying in front of people, poking the ball out free. Like I said, he's at 2.7 steals. I don't think that's leading the league. 2.7. Yeah, he's leading the league in steals. You guys know this has been my guy all this year, all last year. I've loved watching Cameron Matthews. But I'm going to give the nod to Colin Murray-Boyles at 9.4 rebounds, 0.7 steals, 1.1 blocks. The reason I give it to him is because all these stats are so similar. I think he passes the eye test the best. Colin Murray-Boyles can guard so many guys. He has the speed to keep up with guards. He has the strength to keep up with bigs down in the post. He gets blocks. He gets rebounds. He's super tenacious. He switches. He can play drop coverage. He can hedge. He can blitz screens. he can do pretty much anything on the defensive end of the floor. So that's why he gets that award. I compare him all the time to Draymond Green without all the antics. So if you haven't watched Colin Murray Boyles, go watch him. If you haven't watched Cameron Matthews, go watch him. I'm sure you've seen Janai Broom. If you haven't watched Amari Williams, go watch these guys. If you love defense, you will love these players. So, like I said, Colin Murray Boyles is my defense player of the year. Moving on to coach of the year, we have Mark Pope, Chris Jans, and Porter Moser. So Porter Moser out of Oklahoma, Chris Jans out of Mississippi State, and Mark Pope out of Kentucky. So since there's no stats for coaches of the year, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you it's Mark Pope. But the reason I didn't pick the other guys, Chris Jans, he's done an amazing job with his team. I had Mississippi State in the bottom 4 of this league, and so far they're ranked right now. They've been playing out of this world. I love the system that they have. Defensive, I love this team. I love them. I love them so much. Porter Moser, another team, Oklahoma. I had them, I think, the second worst team in the SEC this year, and so far they've proven me wrong. Another ranked team, top of the SEC as of right now. And let me just say this. It is 12/13, December 13th, so depending on when this episode comes out, this might be a little updated. I probably should have said that sooner as well. But the job Mark Pope has done, he comes into this team, nobody on the roster, completely rebuilds it from scratch, gets his guys, his brand new coaching staff. The fact you don't really see that happen with teams that get a new coach. They don't bounce back like that. You didn't see it with BYU. You haven't really seen it. You've seen flashes with Arkansas. You haven't seen it with Vanderbilt. You've seen, flashes, but the job that he's done to come in, develop this offensive identity for this team, this quick pace of play, you can't pick anyone else except for Mark Pope, especially with him coming in on a completely naked team. Like, he built all of this from scratch in like 2 months, basically. So that's why he wins that award. Moving on to Player of the Year. As of right now, this award was incredibly, incredibly hard. I'm going to go over the honorable mentions first and then mention my 3 candidates. Honorable mentions, we have Jason Edwards out of Vanderbilt, Josh Hubbard out of Mississippi State, Adu Thiero out of Arkansas, Chaz Lanier from Tennessee, Cam Carter from LSU, and Wade Taylor IV from Texas A&M. So I'm sorry that those guys don't make the list. They're all, like I said, it was really hard to come down to 3 players. But these are because I also value being on a top team, your impact on the top team as well. All these guys are on top teams. They're making impacts on their top teams. I just think the 3 candidates that I have in are just more deserving. And it's just by this much. So if you're an honorable mention guy and you're like a fan of that team and he's on your team, don't feel slighted, because all these guys are literally that close. Literally, you could pick any of these guys and I wouldn't argue it. Literally. Jason Edwards, Josh Hubbard, Adu Thiero, Chaz Lanier, Cam Carter, Wade Taylor. I wouldn't argue with any of them. If you picked any of those guys for Player of the Year, I'd be like, okay, makes sense. Anyways, moving on to my 3 candidates. We have Walter Clayton Jr. out of Florida, Jalen Moore from Oklahoma, and Janai Broom from Auburn. So Walter Clayton Jr., he's at 18.4 points per game, 3.2 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. Just running the offense for this team. He was amazing last year. He's even better this year. Not much to say with him, just greatness. Jalen Moore, like I said, I've already talked about him. 18.2 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, and then 0.7 assists. Just leading this Oklahoma team that I thought really didn't look that good, just based off of looking at the roster. Just doing amazing things, getting highlight play after highlight play. He's looked amazing, athletic, just amazing player. And then the final candidate is Janai Broom at 19.6 points per game, 11.9 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and then I threw in the 2.8 blocks because it's obvious. Janai Broom's the Player of the Year. If the season ended today, it's Janai Broom. But like I said, here's the way I look at it. Janai Broom, everyone else is super close. They're all on this flat level. All the guys I mentioned, I'm not going to go over the names again. Everyone I mentioned that's not Janai Broom, right below him. Janai Broom has been amazing. This Auburn team, in my opinion, they've been the best team in all of college basketball. AP poll is tripping for sure, especially the fact that they put Tennessee over them. They put Kansas over them. These teams, they put Alabama over them at one point. I don't think any of these teams are better than Auburn. I really don't. And I wanted to go ahead and throw in, for Coach of the Year, I wanted to put Bruce Pearl. I just think those other guys did more with less. But Janai Broom has been nothing but amazing. Like I said, 11.9 rebounds. He had a 20 rebound game over at the Maui Invitational. Looked amazing just in this entire season. He's just looked amazing, really. there's still things he could work on. I critique him a lot just because I know he can do better. He's so strong and physical. Things I would love to see out of him that would make him, I'm talking player of the year for all of college basketball, not just the SEC. If he worked on his footwork and if he worked on his ability to seal off defenders on the offensive end. He's strong. He's big enough that if he can get those things down, I don't see why not. Anyways, those are all of my awards. You can see them on the screen right now. I appreciate you guys for watching. Hopefully I didn't hurt anyone's feelings. But like I said, everyone mentioned, even if there's some guys you didn't mention, leave them down in the comments below. I'll let you know what I think of them. But all the guys I mentioned are just, it's so far, this SEC is just super deep. Just team-wise, player-wise, there's so much to choose from. So if you feel like I missed anyone, like I said, leave it down in the comments. I'll give you my input on that player, let you know what I think of them. And just like I said, thank you guys for watching. Peace out.